What up, everybody? Welcome back to Nashville Unsigned, the news podcast. We are here covering all things digital and music news for the independent community. Get over to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. Keep them coming. Keep all those socials coming. What else are we on? Apple Podcasts. Download the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure that you guys are following us on all socials at Nashville Unsigned or Nash Unsigned.
That's Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Nice plug.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, there's one
plug.
other that we were missing, NashvilleUnsigned.com.
Ooh, that's kind of an important
It's
one.
an important
Weren't
one.
there yet.
The hub.
Okay. Oh, we're almost there. We are chilling like straight villains. True villain shout out. With my partners, Nick.
What's up, everybody?
I'm Amber. This is Jared.
Mr. Jared.
And Patrick Lonnie.
How do you do?
And like Patrick said, get on over to NashvilleUnsigned.com, make your profile, join the movement. Shit's happening, and you're going to get left behind if you don't. So I am the social media guru. This is our digital marketing website guru.
Webmaster.
Journalism, digital marketing, branding, and video gurus. So
And the looks, of course.
Yeah.
yeah, so we're all hitting you with the looks today. So
I'm the fun guy.
That's a sharp hat you got going on over there. I like that hat.
man.
Ooh.
I got it on this website, NashvilleUnsigned.com. It was,
Are they available online? Is that what you're telling me?
yes, yeah.
For
Yeah,
sale online?
what we
They
are
are.
telling you is
Sign it.
everything behind us is available, including all the humans at the table. You can buy them for a certain dollar amount.
You can buy me.
Yeah. What is it? NashvilleUnsigned.com/shop.
Yep. And right now, if you use promo code Hookers Are Us, these two are 50% off. But we are here to kind of chat about it's a new year, new you, and we are here to help you get on track with launching your brand or relaunching your brand as a business, as an artist, and getting out there. So, what are we chatting about today?
Yeah,
guys?
so we're the kind of people that like to find free online tools, right? You cut corners, that you don't need. Like there's certain things you can't cut corners with. Let's just get that out of the way. But for marketing or distributing or mastering your music, you have a lot of options out there in the digital landscape. We want to kind of go over all the different options you got and how you can promote yourself on a budget.
Yeah, and that's changing every day, too. So it's important that, people keep talking about it. I don't think there's a list that came out in, 2006 or something like that you can just always go back to because it's changing every day. And if you're not on the front side of new technologies, then you can get left behind.
Yeah, it's 2018. We're going light speed right now.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
That's
Things
so true.
changing on the internet every couple hours, really.
Yeah, and,
So
and if
true.
something new comes up, like there's a technology that's working really well, and it works really well for you. You can't get blind to anything else, or you get tequila'd.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
She was
We're giving her way too much promotion. This is the second time we've dropped her name, and she's so ill.
Well, she's the perfect
Irrelevant.
example of the
The MySpace
failure
generation.
of changing and moving over. I mean, she's MySpace, and she I mean, I don't know her personally, but I think if she would have moved over to Facebook when it was coming up, she would have sustained. But it's a good example of why you got to just keep paying
Cross
attention.
promotions.
So
on
that's
your
what we're here
socials,
for.
kids.
That's what we're here for, to keep you on the cutting edge.
Yeah. So let's start with distribution. I think that's a real hot topic for this year, especially. Previous methods of distribution kind of had you linked with those big labels, and of course, we at Nashville Unsigned want to break you away from them to
Break
own
free.
your own music. So let's drop some distribution. Who are some of our favorite distributors?
Well, I think the first thing that I would just explain to people is what the heck is distribution.
That's probably a good first step.
yeah. And just to give you kind of an idea of how what distribution is, before the digital age, when you would make music, you would print it on a CD or a compact, or a cassette tape or vinyl or whatever it
Make
was.
that mixtape.
Yeah.
Mixtape.
And whoever owned the shelves of Walmart or Wall to Wall Sound and Music Video or whatever the store was, somebody had to take that plastic or whatever the material was made of, put it on a truck, and get it to all those places, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's only so much shelf space, so the major record labels pretty much owned that shelf space. Well, now with digital, that is your truck. That is the guy who carries your what used to be physical product to the people. But now you have infinite shelf space, which is amazing because all you've got to do is upload to one of these distribution companies, and they'll make sure that you're available on all the digital platforms that we've all become accustomed to, getting our music on. So
these digital, these distribution companies that are kind of popping up, it's kind of a thing right now. These businesses are popping up left and right, and they're either falling under the title distribution, and they're kind of like a playlist placement company or promotions company. But a couple of the ones, shout out to Ditto, friends of ours, they are distribution. They came out with the record label in a box, which was ideal. So they sponsored our 1 year. They're great people, and they're blowing up like crazy right now out of the UK. So also some old school ones, CD Babies, probably a little bit more out of touch than most. So if you are, they do a great DIY, musician DIY conference here in Nashville. A great resource for artists. If you get a chance to go this year, definitely go. It's worth networking and shaking hands and getting some knowledge dropped on you in the digital age. But TuneCore is another good one. Do you guys have any other distribution companies that would be a good one for them to kind of look out for?
I believe Beatport, if you want to get like really specific with your genre, there's actually services out there that are genre specific. And I believe Beatport is the one that actually focuses on like EDM music. We're seeing a huge, surfacing of that because it's so easy to make, and it's easy to make quality EDM. So that's like one of the biggest ones I think I've ran into, other than our other ones. There's also 1RPM. I believe we've worked around there. They've been around, a big Nashville presence here on Lightning 100.
Yeah.
Sure, I think one of the easiest and one of the longer standing ones is TuneCore. I don't know that we mentioned them. It started,
just now. Yeah.
Okay, it was started by a guy named Scott, who his previous projects were eHarmony and Orbits, and then decided he wanted to get into music. And at TuneCore, if you record a single, meaning one song, you can have that distributed to all of the online marketplaces, such as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. This is international distribution. A single will cost you $9.99 through TuneCore, and an entire record will cost you $20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's a difference between just putting it on the shelf and this other distribution thing that Amber was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Now, so to go back to my original analogy, you had so much shelf space. Now, everybody knows when you used to go to Walmart or the music section, there would be, a long vat of records, and you have your little spacers that say A, B, C, D, and you've got to dig through it alphabetically to find it. But then right on the front of that shelf, they have that nice big display with all the hot artists.
Oh yeah.
Those are the big Spotify playlists today. You have infinite shelving, so how do you stand out from the mix? Those are the Spotify playlists, I believe. It's the equivalent of that. So a lot of times, companies will be like, "Hey, you can put your record out there with 150 million other upcoming acts, but how is anybody going to find you? How do I get you to the front of the shelf so people see you?" And that is to be, added to a major playlist. And so some of these distribution companies are like 1RPM will fight for.
They're not distribution. Like they're 1RPM, because let's go back to distribution. So Landr, LANDR, distribution, CD Baby, TuneCore, Ditto, Louder, LOUDR, Record Union, Mondo Tunes, and Reverb Nation can all take care of distribution for you guys. Now, and these are the ones coming at the top in Google search engine. So use your internet, do your research. But going back to promotions, somebody right now, like we talked about, 1RPM, that has picked up some of the artists that we've worked with. They have, put them in front of the eyes. They kind of do a mix of PR and marketing, digital marketing. And of course, like some type of like media, like intertwined thing, but they do sponsor like the 1RPM studio. They have sponsored the studio of Lightning 100, which is one of the largest independent radio stations in the country. So going back to that, like that promotional side of things, they are the ones to kind of weave you in, but you don't have to go through promotions to get yourself on a playlist. Like I can tell you, LinkedIn is probably the most underused, most underutilized platform for musicians.
Oh, that's fascinating, actually.
I
didn't even think of LinkedIn.
If you research, I love LinkedIn. We are connected to USA Today, to Billboard, to Rolling Stone Country, to all these major media outlets, all through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, all it is a keyword search. Type in the person that you want to know, and you type in USA Today. You want to know USA Today people. You type it in, and it says 52 people on LinkedIn are employed by USA Today. You go in and see who those people are, and you connect with all of them. Then you use your digital networking, which is what the platform's designed for, to go in. Don't immediately start asking for shit. Go in, like their shit, comment on shit, share their shit. And you have to build a relationship before you can actually ask for something. So I think the promotional thing can work if you want to save yourself money and see and figure out how you can maneuver through LinkedIn to find your playlisters. That's going to save you the money, and it's going to build a relationship that's long standing so you can keep coming back to that well if need be. But I think LinkedIn, very underutilized resource for musicians.
What's fascinating is how all of these different resources kind of interconnect. Like they could do different things for you. Like you mentioned Lander and the list of distributors. Like that's one of my one of the top ones I found for actually online mastering. Like if you actually wanted to go the route of getting your tracks mastered online, which can cost up to a third less than doing it with in-person professional. That being said, you really want to think about this step before you move forward. There can be a lot to benefit from actually knowing your producer and actually interacting with someone and knowing that someone's going to do a good job and as an artist that you trust with your music.
Because part of like production, and you can probably attest to this, part of your producer selecting your producer is your producer's network. Your producer is going to go to bat for you and is going to sell you to his network and move you in and out, weave you in and out of his network. That's going to open up doors that may take you years to get in and out of.
Yeah, I think for anybody who doesn't understand what mastering is, let me just put a real quick, because everybody knows what producing is, but mastering, the reason it's so important for independent artists is once you've recorded with a producer and you've recorded your songs and you have all your songs set, there is a certain EQ and a certain levels and threshold and compression. Excuse me. Choking on whiskey over here.
Deep throat Debbie. Throat Debbie over here.
There are certain parameters that your music has to fall in to be broadcast ready. Now, syncing is one of the biggest money makers for music right now. And so if you're not mastered correctly, chances are you will be turned down even if your song fits because it does not match. Now, in the explosion of the digital age, there are a bunch of these software programs where you can plug in your song, basically press a button, and it'll say, okay, let's squash this and move this and just make it broadcast ready, right? Yeah. If there's one place that I can still tell a difference, I believe it's mastering. I don't think that mastering has caught up. To give you an example, you think of like digital photography. Well, sure, it was available, but it didn't compete with real photography for a really long time. And I think that mastering, we're starting to get there. And sure, for your if you're on a really tight budget, but it is a really great thing to think about still doing analog wise. You can't compare one of these programs to a guy like Scott Hull in New York City. Yeah. And the last thing that I will say about mastering, because I don't want to spend too much time on it, is that to get a real analog mastering person that really knows what they're doing, you can't go to anybody who hasn't been in the game for at least 15 years. That's truth, because there's an age, there's a training to the ear that is really, really important. Scott Hall blew my mind when I sat in a mastering studio with him for the first time, because he actually would not turn off and on music at the same time. He would fade it up to protect his ears. He lives in New York City. He wouldn't get on the subway without earplugs. But you also have to remember that to listen to and understand the differences, you're building a room and sitting in that room for so long that you can compare what you have to every other track that you've been doing for 10, 15 years. You can't hop from mastering studio to mastering studio and expect to have a benchmark of how it sounds. So mastering, I still think, is the one piece that you can really pay for. You can take a demo, something that you recorded in GarageBand, and save your money on that. But if you go to a real mastering guy and put your budget in that, you can turn a low budget independent GarageBand demo into something that sounds sonically as competitive as a major record label if you put your money into a real mastering guy.
Yeah, and the way the market's set up today, it's like if you can get one or two really well done finished songs, that can just benefit you so much. That could just take off, and just completely make your career.
Yeah,
to where you're making money to master a whole album.
It's a day and age of a playlist, so you don't have to. I honestly think you're stupid if you go and record a full-length album. Let's just be honest. This is not a full-length album day. You go and record. Music is changing daily, and if you go and record a full-length album, by the time you release that 12th song, it's outdated.
Well, I will say this though: the reason that people are I agree with you. Would never release an entire album, but recording an album makes the budget better because your musicians, I mean, if you're going in and hiring musicians to come in and record a single song, you're wasting your money because they're going to get the same day rate and you can get laid down.
Yeah, still,
3,
I think
4
an
songs
EP,
in a day.
an EP, a full-length album, man, it's just the wrong time for that. 10 years ago, right time. This day and age, wrong time. Put your money, invest in the quality of 5 songs. Release those 5 songs super strategically, like Sinclair. What was that album that she did? It had Barcelona on there. It had, what album was that?
It was what was it?
Barcelona.
Sure.
We can't think. I'm gonna pull it up on my Spotify right now because I need to know what this is. But she was so strategic in how she executed that album, and then how she released it. And how she was able to market it, because if you're marketing 5 songs and making the marketing strategy cohesive for 5 songs, it's a little bit harder to do for 12 songs. Like my attention span is like that. I'm like squirrel. Yeah. Rhinestones, 5 songs, I'm good for. 45-minute podcast, I'm good for. You move that to an hour and a half, or you move that to 12 songs, I'm out, man.
Yeah.
My interest is gone.
And the other thing is test the market. I mean, once like Amber said, you're releasing singles. I mean, one only has to look at the huge explosion of Julia Michaels to recognize you put a single out, and then bang, you've struck a nerve that is, that the public now, go in and record in a full record now. You know what I mean? Because you can do it in a couple weeks if there's that much of a demand for it. You know what I mean? But I love the idea of kind of litmus testing your the audience and seeing what works and trying different things.
Talk about testing. How do you say that? Quora. It's the biggest Q&A resource on the internet.
Really?
If you go into Quora, or if I'm saying that correctly, you can actually, as an artist, you can see what your audience is craving for music and for marketing. Utilize that resource to understand what the demographic is craving. And that's the great thing about the day and age of a playlist. You can pivot. We say this all the time. We're professional pivoters. If you have 12 songs recorded, guess what? You're committed for 12 songs. You can't pivot. If it flopped and 3 songs in, you can't pivot. You are stuck with another 9 songs.
There is something to be said to have a full set in your live performances.
Full,
so definitely have stuff to play.
Set.
Sure. And I think that songwriting, in general, what Amber's talking about, I think is more the production of it. So sure, have a full album worth of songs, but the production of it, the new sounds, the new waves that are coming through, you can always produce songs.
Changing.
I mean, look at songs, 35 years old that people are recreating.
Let
Yeah.
me
You know what
shout
I mean?
out
That are
Sinclair real
personalized.
quick.
Before
It's-
you do that, the thing that you were talking about, just to give everybody the resource, the Curara or whatever you were talking about, it is
I've got a link for that.
www.QORA.com.
when we were going in, so that is perfect. That's a great place for you guys to run around and to start getting a gauge on what your demographic is wanting. Now, I'm not saying go and record something that is not you, as an artist. Don't let people shape what you are, know what you are, go in and pivot your marketing strategy, or even like a little bit of like, if people are liking heavy bass drums, which is what's going on right now, then if you are in EDM and you're just, throwing around, some beats, but you're not putting in heavy bass drums, your audience is saying, we want heavy bass, then you would probably want to implement that. Shout out to Sinclair. It was actually 3 songs, and it was Colorblind was the album, and sometimes Colorblind and Barcelona. So strategic in the way she delivered that. 3 songs and nailed it. Just absolutely nailed it.
You know what's funny about that is I remember back, you talk about like 10 or 20 years ago, and you'd get a CD, you'd hear a single, on the radio or whatever, but like, oh yeah, like Sum 41, this is awesome, I think Sum 41, because the album I got from them was all killer, no filler. It made me think of all the filler stuff you get.
Or like Blink 182's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Yeah. What do you think of like Eiffel 65, the blue song from like 1998? Has anyone ever even like
think if-
heard
if
the rest
I
of that
were
album?
green, I would
Like, has
not.
that actually exist?
Well, actually,
like what is their genre?
The second song goes, I'm red, bobble dee ba. They just go through the spectrum. It's a lot of
Roy G. Biv.
remixes.
They're going through the colors of the rainbow.
It really works for the one-hit wonder. So if
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
want to get in and get out of the music industry, today is your day.
Well,
Yeah.
one way of looking at it is it's not so much that you're doing research to change your style or your genre, so much as you could look at it as outreach. Like we
Nice.
know that these people enjoy this thing. You feel as though they could also enjoy what you've produced, but you kind of do a little couple tweaks and you're more out, more specific, more targeted outreach to the specific group that you've already established.
Yeah.
Yeah. All going back to like marketing and pivoting, you have to be able to pivot. And like, for instance, Esla, shout out class 7 alumni with us. She's literally got 70,000 Spotify streams at this point for one song.
Wow.
One song. And that is what made her. Now she just released a new one, Skeleton, shout out. But what she did that was so strategic is her marketing strategy was like, I'm going to cut through the bullshit. Everybody's going one route. And she reached out to beauty bloggers, and beauty bloggers were seeing millions and millions of people. And so beauty bloggers are playing her music in the background and putting her credits at the bottom. And she cut through all the bullshit by going straight to the beauty bloggers. And she was able to pivot and figure out her marketing strategy with one song.
Yeah, it's really brilliant. There's this guy that I met, and I hate this because he's probably gonna comment and be like, "You didn't give me credit," but there was a guy.
I'll tag you, man.
Yeah, there was a guy. This was a brilliant marketing piece too, which goes along with what Esla so brilliantly did. But what he did is he wrote a song called "Dad's Barn," right? And it was a country song. And what he ended up doing is he went on Instagram and looked for hashtag barn and looked for followers that had big views. Now there is a Instagram thing out there where this guy had, all he does is post pictures of dilapidated barns. That's it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, this guy's got 4.8 million followers just
yeah.
looking at dilapidated, falling down barns.
Baby
and
boomers.
what this guy did is he went through, he took the ones that had the most likes, made a slideshow, put his music behind it, and sent it to the guy and said, hey, this is free content. If you want to post it, just tag me. And he tagged him, and his followers went up 20,000 followers from one post.
Wow.
And it's like, man, like no one was thinking go to the dilapidated barn photographer guy posting, but there's an audience there, right? So, and he also realized like anybody who gives a shit about dilapidated barns probably is a country demographic, right? So I think you have to think outside the box. The internet is an amazing tool. It's a gift.
And underutilized in the music industry.
Totally
like, what
underutilized.
the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You guys are like creating music on your computers, but like just utilize these platforms that are all this stuff is literally at your fingertips, but you just got to put in a little bit of elbow grease.
And it's funny how like you get like Spotify, you get streaming royalties. That's like a hot topic right now because you know it's like you're getting royalties, but not like a whole lot of royalties. They're still kind of like figuring some things out,
now.
and it's easy to be like, man, that's such crap. I get such little for this, but like, you know, the evolution into that was I was downloading. I was pirating your music anyways, so it's like streaming. You're seeing more money than you were, you know, back in those days. But you know, I do agree that, you know, they'll probably get to a better spot.
And that's not the money maker.
But it's
like,
also, that's a good point. You're going to come up. That's marketing yourself as well. So you're killing two birds with one stone by, you know, optimizing just Spotify. You know, if you're thinking of just sales, then you're thinking the wrong way. You need to branch out.
An empire.
It all works together. You have
that's
to work.
What like Esla, for instance, like a great Esla. This is free. But I mean, for Esla to make a lipstick or to endorse a lipstick at this point would be a very, very, very strategic plan. And talking about money, recently we talk a lot about bands to brands. We talk a lot about social influencers. I can tell you that, without saying the company's name, there is a company that I'm affiliated with, and they pay this guy who is a big influencer in that specific industry. They pay him a certain dollar amount monthly to post inside of his socials. The reason for that is getting advertisements in a paper magazine isn't working anymore. Yeah. Getting commercials on TV isn't working anymore. So the most effective thing for them, social influencer marketing, is a thing. All of you artists are social influencers. Your whole goal is to build your fan base. Well, what are you wearing? What's your perfume? What's your makeup? What's your hair care?
What's anything that you care about?
What
really?
tampon brands do you use?
Yeah.
And, you know, go after those brands via LinkedIn. The people that you are looking for, they're called marketing directors.
Yeah.
So go look at Tampac's marketing director or whoever the parent company is for Tampax.
I've got a great slogan for Tampax, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
We're not number one, but we're right up in there. Sorry.
It would, of course, come from a male. That would come from a male.
I just derailed this podcast.
That would come from a male. And you know what? We're probably going to get crucified with all the movement with power in females right now. We're probably going to get crucified for that. Patrick, thank you very much.
Good one, Patrick.
If you have a comment, just drop it in the comments now.
I know. Please, you know, we were looking for a little bit of
Controversy,
hey, same brain. I just said that. Controversy.
I actually saw a really funny meme about exactly what you're talking about, and it was like, imagine this: they delete Instagram, and bam, you're not a model anymore.
I know, right? Instagram models are gone. Nah.
I love it.
But it's
Nice.
it's been memeified
Nice.
now, like
Nice.
how important these digital like platforms are, and how not easy isn't the word, but how accessible it is for you to throw your lot into these. You know, the setup is there. You don't have to be discovered, you know, anymore.
And stop taking these endorsements and these sponsorships for bartering. Like let them give you free makeup. That's cool. But then you have enough fan base and they're saving enough money on their marketing that they owe you a dollar amount.
Agreed.
And if you need us to sit on behalf of you guys and work that dollar amount, we can do that for you. That's part of our label services. We can do that for you.
Amber loves that.
Amber will pull
She
out her...
lives for
Oh,
that.
shut up.
Yeah, no,
Put me in
crazy.
a situation where I'm talking money and I'm like, I'm laying it down and I'm negotiating. Like, I will win.
Amber will
I should have
pull-
been an attorney.
She'll pull out the digital dukes and start swimming.
Yeah, I'm like, give me some analytics.
digital dukes.
Give me your media kit and I will lay it down. Not even lying.
So speaking of, let's kind of project for 2018. I think there are definitely some, as far as marketing goes, some platforms that we should all focus on coming up this year, because like we said at the beginning of this, things are going to change and they're constantly in a process of changing. So let's look at the big ones. Let's look at Facebook and YouTube, right? Everybody knows that's just like, that's marketing. That's easy marketing for you. That's your first step into the big world. What do you guys think
You
is
big
in
girl now.
the future for marketing on these platforms? There's obviously been a lot of changes and on both of these, and a lot of social, unrest, due to these platforms, and they have to kind of like figure it out.
Yeah.
Go. Take it away, Amber.
I was like, pick me. Okay, there's a badass thing right now going on, and it hasn't broke out of the vein yet. It's still purple blood. Like, it is not red yet. But it's called cinemagraphs. So in marketing, you're going to have so many apps to choose from. It's all about content. And honestly, it's all about raw content. You don't have to go have like major video. For your music video, you better have good production. For your social content, it doesn't matter, man. Like, live stream all day long. That's totally cool. You're going to build followers.
Get your phone out.
But
work it.
cinemagraphs, look up Flixel, Flixel, Flixel. Flixel is a cinemagraph. So what a cinemagraph is it is a combination of a video and a picture. So you'll see a stationary picture, and then you'll see moving elements inside of that picture. And what this does is all social media treats a cinemagraph like a video. So if you guys know anything about social media, video content is king. So if every platform favors video content. Yep. So if you're putting up a cinemagraph, and it is the combination of two, which is so cool. Whoever thought of that, like, freaking kudos, man. And Flixel, thank you for doing it right. All the other ones suck. Trust me, I've tried all of them. They do. They suck so hard. And you know what? Pay the $10 a month. It's great. It's so worth it. But the combination of the two, you are going to stand out. I mean, our next flyers that we're doing is going to be a combination. It's going to be the cinemagraph. But all these platforms are favoring the video. But in actuality, it's really not a video. It's just a picture with video elements. So really cool. I think Flixel's cool. Download a few things. I'm just going to rattle them off. Canva, Canva. You can create, it has Pixabay included in there, free pictures. Upsplash that gives free pictures. You can drop your PNG logos on it. I mean, you can really customize your content. Stencil, Logo Joy, Google Fonts, Font Pair. Buzz Sumo is content ideas. You can find influencers there. You can it's all based on relevant websites to your brand. Quora, which we were talking about earlier, Quora. It's just Q&As. I mean, it'll be at the top of the list, and you'll be able to find content and music fans, or that music fans crave the most. Workflowy, it's WORKFLOWY. These names are great. Yeah. It helps musicians stay productive and efficient, and it organizes your thoughts and lists. Google Drive, Docs, WeTransfer. Thank you, Patrick, for teaching me about WeTransfer. It's great for transferring video content without compressing anything, correct? Did I get that right?
Yeah, and it's free. Up to a certain data limit, I think 2 gigs or
something like that. And they hold it for, I think it's like maybe 30 days max.
Yeah, 30 days. Yeah. So it's so great. MailChimp, we can't speak enough about how important your email list is. So MailChimp's great. This is one of my favorites. It's Ripple, RIPL. And this is branded video content. Go look it up. You can put your music in the background. You can layer in photos. You can layer in videos. But it's like $10 a month, and you've got video content at your disposal. Snapchat, if you haven't been getting creative with Snapchat, shame on you. Yeah. Like, we go create video content with music in the background and moving in emojis and, crazy highlighters and all this other shit all the time. That's great.
And you can swipe up on Snapchat to link to something now. So if you have merchandise, you can say swipe up to buy my merchandise, which is, I think, a huge opportunity.
And you can also do that with Instagram stories, but the only way that you can swipe up for a website on Instagram stories is you either have to be verified, you have to have a check mark, or you have to be over 10,000 followers. So that is super cool to have. And a couple of other resources, I would say Hootsuite blog, freaking fantastic. If you need to know about all things social media, they are on top of their game. They knew about, you can live stream now. anybody that's in your live stream room, you can add them. You can split screen to add them. So you can pull your fans up in a performance that you're doing live stream.
Wow.
It's so freaking cool. And we are actually going to start doing like some abroad interviews that way. So we don't have to, like, anyone that's outside of the city, we can still talk to independent artists and interview them without actually having them to be here. That's really cool. They knew about it before anybody else did. And then the Social Media Examiner and TuneCore.com, their blog, get on it because they have like invaluable resources.
Sure, and I want to throw one more thing out that just came out actually in the last like 7 days or 2 weeks at most. Is I know a lot of people are familiar with Patreon, but Bandcamp has now launched a brand new subscription service that is killing it, and everybody that I've talked to that's on it, it's amazing. You can set a monthly or a yearly subscription base, and then drop like, a lot of these artists are out there writing in a room. Andrea Davidson's doing something really interesting. She's an independent artist here in Nashville, and she just started something called Rawferings, which basically are raw offerings, where when she would take her cell phone and start to write a song or whatever the first time she completed it, well, that's kind of like in the living room, it's unpolished and whatever, right? And it goes to what Amber was saying, that like people want to see the behind the scenes type stuff. Well, of course, you're not going to release Rawferings on Spotify, but for your hardcore fans, if you leverage something like this, she's basically at least twice a month putting out content, and you can set whatever you want your annual or your monthly to be, and it's a really, really cool thing, and I suggest everybody check it out. It's like I said,
it builds hype.
Yeah.
It totally builds hype, and it's only 2 months old. So
you know what I love about I do kind of favor Patreon, and this is why I do favor Patreon. This is why is because I value businesses that value their values, that don't break away from their values, no matter how big they are. Patreon.
Like Enron.
Publicly fucked up. They publicly fucked up, and then they said they made something. They said we're going to go subscription based, and they put out a massive email to all of their people and all of their people's people, and they had so much backlash in less than 24 hours. The CEO went on blast and retracted it, apologized, and said that they will never go that route. And the fact that they're such a big company anyways, like, support Patreon, man. That's like
I thought that was a huge move.
That is amazing. And the fact that like it's not about the money, it's about the values of the company. So I thought that was cool. I mean, Bandcamp super cool too. But man, you gotta reward what you want repeated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're badasses.
Yeah. And I think I just want to plug this in before we wrap this up. If you're not a marketer, I would suggest just start learning. A. And B, find a team. Whether that team is your band, is your cousin Jeffrey, is some guy you hire, or if it's an indie label.
Like Nashville Unsigned.
Yeah, we're not necessarily anti every label. We're just anti selling your music to someone who's going to take all of the royalties from it.
Or your soul.
Like, don't sell your soul. Like, there's so many different resources. Like, people offer these kinds of services, and get with them. There's a whole environment. There's a whole market for it, and it supports all the indie movement.
Speaking of which, we do now provide label services. So all of our skill sets are now up for hire. Just saying. And again, if you use Hookers R Us as a promo code, these two are 50% off.
All of our skill sets.
This one always ends up sexual for every single podcast. Somebody buy him. But yeah, if you guys get on the site, you probably know a better place to find it on the site. I think it's under services or something.
I believe it's under about and then services. I believe I'd have to double check, but yeah, we've been putting it all up there. And
So you guys, if you guys need marketing team, if you're like, I would rather pay people out that are smarter at that than I am. If you guys just want to be the artist and don't want to do that side of things, that's what we do. And now we're doing that for you guys. In the past, we did not offer that up as a service. Well, we need money.
So hit
Give me
us
your
up.
money.
Hit us up, and you could be the next Tila Tequila. I'm just gonna keep dropping her name.
No.
Keep dropping her name. people are basically like, "Do you manage her or something? Why
I
do you keep it?"
know. I'm like, what? Let's use a.
I don't even know if she's
better
doing
one.
music anymore. I just like bringing her
Did
up. 'cause
she
she's
ever
obscure.
do music?
Well, MySpace launched her.
yeah,
And she
she
made
did.
millions.
I mean, I
off of it,
remember the
yeah.
reality TV show from my
She's on
generation
TV, yeah.
specifically.
On
I don't
TV.
ever remember music.
Well, I'm old. It's fine.
Shut up. No, you're not. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and shooting the shit like we always do. Again, get on over to NashvilleUnsigned.com. Join the movement. We've got so much going on. We are running around town setting up all these events. We are going to be doing a lot more this year, and we're jumping into the sinking world. More on
Yeah.
that to come, boys and girls.
So 2018,
Next episode.
Go get yours. Go get yours. And may 2018 be fruitful for you and your music.
Yeah, subscribe to the
Ooh, that was a good
podcast. We got it coming out regular.
Hey, subscribe to the podcast. And you know what? We took a couple of, Christmas weeks off. A few of the cats were hungover. So, just kidding.
All right,
But-
guys.
Wrap it up, Amber.
I know. I'm sorry. Shut me
We're
up.
running out of music. Peace.
I'm back.
The secret to our success.
I'm sweating my ass off right now. That's a lot of sweating.
Oh boy. Where'd your ass go?